everyone, my name is Lwanele Khasu, your host and clinical psychologist, and welcome to Learn to Heal. And shoo, we are doing this. I honestly, every time I have to record a new podcast, I am always like, yay, I'm doing this. It always feels like I'm doing it. Yes, I'm doing it. It always feels surreal. So yeah, so thank you guys for holding me accountable. And thank you to the people that ask me, we have been posting for the past couple of weeks every single Tuesday. That's when we release the podcast, and I will get by Thursday people saying, when is the new podcast coming? Hey guys, I'm trying to be consistent with the Tuesday. Okay, so I'm not trying to add a different day of having another podcast, because that means more time of recording and more time of putting the content together. And I like being authentic. I like being authentic in my content. At first I thought, I'm gonna do a season about forgiveness or something, and I was like, that's not gonna be very authentic. That's not gonna sound like me. And I like being authentic, and I like sounding like myself. And that means for me that I ask myself, like, okay, what's on my heart, and what do I actually want to talk about, and what will authentically come through as I speak about it, because I don't want to fake stuff through. I have to keep only posting one time a week, because I feel like I can manage that. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for your engagements. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your feedback. Please keep those coming. They are so good for me. Not even just only the good stuff, like even the comments, like the constructive criticism, the tips, all of that stuff. That's really good for me, because firstly, it's helping me understand that you're truly engaging with my content, to the extent where you can notice some stuff and spot some stuff, which is quite nice. And also when you authentically really feel like, that was so amazing, sharing that with me, because that helps me understand what my audience likes, but also just really what is most helpful. One of the things that I like saying, especially to my fellow psychologists, is that we love tickling ourselves. We love talking about the things that we like talking about, which is all of our content. We talk about things that people don't understand. We talk about parasympathetic nervous systems. We talk about all these psychological terms that people really don't relate to. So we're just tickling ourselves. And I wanted this podcast to be different. I wanted, even my titles are relatable. The content is relatable. I want it to be everyday life struggles and everyday life language, rather than bombastic psychological words. Of course, my knowledge is always based on insight from formulations, clinical judgments, clinical knowledge, all of that. But I like just relaying it in the most authentic and relatable way that you and I can resonate with. So thank you for that feedback. Please keep it coming. Please ask me questions, engage with me, and please share so there's many people can learn how to heal. So what are we talking about today? Ooh, guys. Today, so today's one is a little bit heavy, in that it's hard. It's hard. So today I'd like us to engage, today I'd like us to engage with the topic of letting go. So it is time to let go. And the reason I'm saying this is heavy is because it's not fun to let go. But it's also this topic has been sitting in my heart for some time. And it's been pressing in there. And for me, like I said, that's what I speak about. I speak about what's in my heart, and I speak about what's pressing, because I always feel like, sometimes words and conversations and content has seasons. There's times where someone will share something with you that's like, I'm not interested in that. And then at a time where you see the same thing, or you read the same book, and you're like, this is so seasonal for me right now. So I think this is such a seasonal word and conversation that we need to be having. We are such a society and a people that likes to accumulate stuff. And I would like to come here and say to you, it is time to let go. It is time to let go. It is time to let go. And what are we letting go, right? You may be asking yourself, I don't know what you need to let go of, but I think we are at a place where we just like to accumulate things. We accumulate knowledge, we accumulate people, we accumulate stuff and materials. We have things that are festering mold in our lives, and we just believe sometimes that it's better to have a rotten something rather than having nothing. And I'm here to let you know that's not true. I think we deserve clean, decluttering. We deserve things that are not there for the sake of being there. We deserve relationships that are not there for the sake of being there. We deserve part-time jobs, content, work, side gigs, whatever it is. We deserve things that are supposed to be for our good, for our careers good, for our families good, but not things that just fester and that just sit there and that just accumulate mold. And it honestly is time for us to rethink about what we have in our lives. So where are we going to start with this, right? And I think where we need to start with this is, what do you feel like you need to let go of? When you're thinking about your life and you're thinking about the things you are constantly engaging with every single day, the people you engage with, the things you engage with on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, but the things that occupy your mind, the things that occupy your heart, and the things that occupy your space, what do you need to let go of? Because letting go of is not just about saying goodbye to something, right? Because that's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of saying goodbye, and then we have like this empty void in those spaces. But I think saying goodbye or letting go of things is also about making space and creating capacity for things that are actually supposed to be there. When we are, let's say for example, you are keeping, I don't want to make an example about people, but I mean, we are keeping some people in our lives where I think some of those relationships have probably ran the course of their lives. But actually, let me use that because that's what's on my heart. Let's talk about relationships that are sitting in our lives that you know that this relationship has run its course. Every time the person calls you, you're thinking to yourself, oh, this person, I don't want to talk to them. What do they want? Every time they text you, you ignore them for quite some time. You don't respond to them. Every time, you know, it's kind of like when you're thinking about them, you're irritated, you're frustrated, you're numb, you're indifferent with them. And if you think about it, why are you keeping that person in your life? And we had a conversation about boundaries a couple of weeks ago, and one of the things that I said was, don't ghost people, have conversations. And even in this moment, I'm still saying the same thing. Sometimes we have to let go of people. Sometimes we have to let go of relationships. Sometimes we have to create space in relationships we can't completely let go of, like families. Sometimes families, you can't just abandon your family, but you have to create some space, mental space, physical space, so that you are able to protect yourself, right? But even in the letting go I'm talking about, even in the letting go of relationships, I think there is space for a conversation to be had. And I think there is space for you to engage with why that relationship has run its course. But back to the topic, if you can see this relationship is just not working out, if you can see that this relationship is toxic, if you can see that this relationship is a constant taking away from you, and not in a relationship sense, right? Because sometimes we have relationships where I give 80% and my friend gives 20, and sometimes I give 20 and they give 80. Like, it depends on the capacity we have. But if you're constantly feeling like they are taking and taking and taking, and even when you talk to them and engage with them, they're not willing to actually think about you, consider you, be mindful of you, and you can see that this relationship is not actually helping you in any sense, then create that space. Create the space so that the relationships you do have can actually thrive and can actually be more meaningful. It doesn't matter having 15 friends if all you have is one friend that you can actually be authentic and talk to when you're in trouble. It doesn't matter having a relationship with a person and you say, I've been dating for 7 years, when actually when things are happening in your life, you cannot trust them to tell them about what's happening in your life. It doesn't matter having a lot of stuff in your house if actually the appliances you have, half of them don't work. They're all sitting on your counter and you're like, oh, I have 2 toasters and I have, a smack kettle and all of that, and actually they don't work. It doesn't matter to put a facade and an image of accomplishment or an image of these people around you, an image of these things around you, if those things actually don't work. So again, I'm going to say it is time to let go. But you need to figure out for yourself, what are you letting go of? Right? And how do you let go in the most graceful manner? And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is a conversation with the person you're letting go of a relationship with, but also a reflection for yourself if you're letting go of stuff, like your clothes. That dress you have not worn for 5 years. Why is it still in your cupboard? Now I'm talking to myself. Honestly, why is it still in your cupboard? Declutter. Make space for new things, but also just create space for breathing, right? You have not used that couch and you keep thinking to yourself, I'm gonna reupholster it. No, you haven't. If you haven't reupholstered it for the past 2 years, when are you going to do that? Either do the thing you need to do with it or let go of it. We need to have meaningful lives, intentional lives, clear lives, decluttered lives. Not this idea of thinking we have when we actually don't have. I don't know about you guys, but there's been times where you think, oh, I have so many friends, and then you think to yourself, oh, something just happened, who am I going to call? I don't know, right? And I think, not recently because I've got wonderful friends now, but I think, back in varsity days and all of that stuff, and you are like, I don't really have a close knit circle of people that have meaningful relationships with and all of that. And I think it is important to have things around you and people around you that are actually communicating life and meaning and authenticity. And what is rotten, we need to let go of. What is taking up space, we need to let go of. Now that letting go is around relationships that don't work, material stuff that doesn't do anything. But let's talk about emotions. What emotions do you need to let go of? It might be guilt. You feel so guilty that something happened, or you did something shouldn't have been done. It might be shame. It might be anger. Right? It might be resentment. What emotions do you need to let go of? What emotions are not serving you? What emotions are causing you to have a bad relationship with yourself? What emotions are making you actually do worse for yourself? You know when you're feeling guilty and then you start overcompensating, and then when you're overcompensating, you start depleting yourself, and then when you're depleting yourself, then you start figuring out what can I do, how can I intentionally do anything, how can I meaningfully do anything, and you just decide to isolate yourself from people. That's not working out for you. That's not helping you. That's not serving you. That's not serving the mentally well person you are trying to be. Right? What emotions are you keeping? Sometimes, and this is going to trigger a lot of people, sometimes we hold on to grief. And I know this very well because I've gone through my fair share of grief in life. And holding on to grief sometimes feels like if you're not in pain anymore, that means you're letting go of the person. You know, when you lose a person that's really important, close to you, and you think to yourself, if I start being happy, if I start laughing, that means I am forgetting about my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother. That means I'm actually saying they don't matter in my life anymore. And that's not true. You will never forget those people in your life. It does not matter how much you love, how much you enjoy yourself. You are never going to forget the people that have actually made an impact in your life, that you love and that you actually lost. So you don't have to keep the pain to be close to the people that you have lost. Right? It's not saying that you're going to forget the people. It's saying you need to start letting go of that pain. Sometimes pain, we are holding on to it. Sometimes pain, we're feeling it. Sometimes when we feel the pain, we process it, and then we can feel a little bit better. I don't know if you've ever felt this, and I've personally felt this, especially around loss. When you laugh or you don't think about the person you lost, and you feel guilty. It's like, whoa, I haven't thought about this person this whole day. Like, I felt like today was a better day. I actually laughed today. Does that mean that I'm saying that this person wasn't important to me as much anymore? And you start feeling guilty. And you actually try remember the pain, and then you kind of like think about the pain and think about the pain. That's holding on to the pain. That's you knowing that your body, your mind, your heart wants to let go, but it's you holding on to it. When you start feeling guilty for being happy, when you start feeling guilty and feeling like you're betraying the close people, the people you've lost when you're being happy, it's time to let go of it. Here's the thing about grief. Grief, I say this all the time. Grief and trauma, those two things. Grief and trauma are like a monkey that live in the same room with you every single day. Some days, they are a monkey in the corner and you are filling up the space and you are filling up the room. Some days, you are the one sitting in the corner and the grief and the trauma is filling up the room. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because I want you to understand and to be realistic that it always lives with you. It always stays with you. Some days it takes up a lot of space, and some days you are aware of it, you acknowledge it, but you're going about your life. You can see it there in the corner, but you're going about your life and it's actually not affecting you. So when it's sitting in the corner, don't call it into the center. Leave it in the corner. You are aware of it, you know it, you acknowledge it, but it doesn't have to be present in your life right now. And some days, around anniversaries, around birthdays, around a song that you shared, that monkey comes and sits right in the room and you go crawling up in your fetal position in that corner. And you can't do anything about it until it passes. Of course, you can do stuff like calling a friend, going to therapy, doing something that distracts you from the moment, pulling yourself out of that space. But for the most part, it dances, it lives there, it has a feast in the center of the room, and you are sitting in a corner. So what do you need to actually let go of stuff? Emotions, relationships that aren't working, materialistic things. Sometimes what you need is to first be aware of what do you need to let go of. And secondly, what you need to do is actually accept that thing is gone, that person has left, the relationship is not working. The dress does not fit you. Right? And once you have accepted that, then you figure out, okay, so what's my plan and what's my strategy for moving on? Okay, I'm going to go to the gym so that this dress can fit me again. Okay, I'm going to go to therapy so I can figure out how to make goals and plans without this person in my life anymore. Okay, I'm going to start figuring out where to next. What career am I going to go into after being fired from my job? right? Because sometimes the anger we harbor is because people have actually done things that are wrong to us. And after you've accepted and you've thought of a new strategy of what you need to do, you have to forgive, right? Forgiveness is not easy. And forgiveness is even more difficult when a person does not ask for forgiveness. When there is no accountability and there is no one taking responsibility for what has been done to you. But not forgiving is not hurting the other person, it's hurting you. You holding on to those feelings is not hurting the other person, it's hurting you. So sometimes you have to let go of it, not because you actually don't think something wrong was done to you, but because you want to do something right for yourself. You want to change the trajectory of how your life has been going because of that particular act that was done to you. So, what are you going to be letting go of? You have to start today. And if you feel like you need a companion to do it with you, absolutely ask a friend, go to therapy, ask a family member, talk to someone, and let them hold your hand as you let go of that, whatever it is that you need to let go of. But you will need to let go of it so that you can have space for growth and you can have capacity for new growth, for love, for blossoming, for happiness, and ultimately for wellness and healing, because that is important. I hope you learn the art of letting go, and if it feels too difficult for you, have a person help you through that process, but it is time to let go. I'll see you on the next one.